It's the vacation turned nightmare for Bryan Hagerich and his family. They were leaving Turks and Caicos, heading back home when he was arrested. Authorities finding 20 rounds of ammunition in his luggage. Hagerich was one of 5 Americans detained on similar charges there.
He faced up to 12 years in prison for violating local gun control laws. But after a guilty plea, a judge sentenced him to a suspended 52-week sentence and a fine. Bryan has now reunited with his family. He and his wife, Ashley, are both joining us on GMA3 for their first in-person TV interview. Good to see you guys, and thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
So you guys have finally reunited here. Bryan, what were you thinking when all of this happened?
Just completely awestruck. We had no idea what was about to unfold. At the time, I thought, my biggest concern was boarding that flight, getting back to Ashley and the children, which we quickly learned was not going to be the case.
I have to ask you the question I think so many people have is, how did that ammo end up in your bag? Did you know that they had laws against having ammunition brought to the country?
So the bag's one I frequently use for hunting trips throughout the fall and the winter time. In comparison to size for the whole bag, it was 2 to 3% of the entire weight, so it's not something you would easily recognize. It had multiple compartments, and it was certainly a mistake that I made, that not checking every last pocket.
And Ashley, this all started off as a random bag check, and you were actually pleading with officials, just let us pay a fine and let us go.
Certainly, because in the United States, that's what would happen. If something like this happened, you would pay a fine, get rid of the ammo, and you'd be on your way. So I just said, can't this be resolved differently? Can't we just pay a fine and board our flight? And I think we very quickly realized that that was not going to be the case.
But when did you say to yourself, okay, this is bad? This is really bad.
Really bad. So I would say it was after we were taken away from Bryan. So the kids and I, we had maybe 30 seconds to say goodbye to Bryan, and one of the TSA officials, custom officials, took us to our gate because our flight was boarding rather quickly. So then I kind of looked at her and I was like, I need to understand, are you a mother? And she kind of looked at me, and I was like, I need to understand what's really happening here, what's the severity, can you be honest with me and let me know what's really going on? And she said to me point blank, she's like, you're not going to see your husband tomorrow. She's like, you're not going to see your husband for a couple weeks. And I kind of was very taken aback, and that's when she was like, this holds a mandatory minimum of a 12-year jail sentence. And it floored me, because there I am with both of our children. They're crying because their dad's not with us. And in that moment, I think I very quickly realized the severity of what we were dealing with in that moment.
What would you all tell other families that are thinking about going there for vacation?
Well, I'm a human. I made a mistake. We're all human. Certainly be very, very thorough when checking your bag. Plain and simple, we never thought this could happen to us. Never in 1,000 years did I expected to be detained in Turks and Caicos for 3.5 months. So it can happen to anyone, and to be careful.
Yeah, and I would say this is a place that we'd visited 4 times prior. Our kids looked forward to going there every year.
So you never imagined something like this would happen?
Never imagined. It's a place that we love, and we've always respected the island, and we love going there. So I think, we're all human, and never in a million years did we think we'd find ourselves in a situation like this. So I just think it's important for people to really, give others grace, because anybody can make a mistake that can really impact the rest of your life rather quickly.
Would you guys go back?
I think we're going to consider some different vacations. There are obviously a lot of great choices, different places to make memories.
Yeah,
there are 2 Americans who are still there that I want to ask you about, Ryan Watson and Sharita Greer. You were actually telling me about Sharita's conditions, said she was handcuffed to a chair.
Yeah, so we were the first ones to visit Sharita once we learned of her being taken into custody. We were able to bring her food, a blanket, pillow, just basic necessities that she needed. And we did find her handcuffed to a chair for 3 nights. She has some medical conditions that she suffers from. Thankfully, she's okay, but we were very, very concerned for her.
And what are you hoping for them? I know you said you consider them family.
Absolutely. I lived with both of them for multiple weeks, so they are family to us. Obviously, with me being the first one released, hopefully a precedent has been set that allows them to return home soon to their families as well.
Bryan and Ashley, thank you so much for being here with us
Thank
today.
you for having us.
Thank you.